Jeff, talk about this weekend. Obviously, with 6 to go before the chase cutoff, wins are paramount for you.
Yeah, it is, and I really like what we saw here the last time we were here. Anytime there's a repave, you're not exactly sure, what the conditions are going to be like, what passing and racing is going to be like, what the tire wear or lack of wear is going to be like. And so I was very pleased to see the type of racing that we had here last time we were here, and the fact that we had really good speed in our car. The thing that stands out to me was that I made a mistake on pit road and got caught speeding. And so we got to eliminate those mistakes, go continue to put out the effort that we're putting out. We've had fast race cars a lot of times this year. Just even last week at the Brickyard, we had a great race car, and I feel like we can do that again this weekend. But eliminate the mistakes, put a whole race together, and there's no doubt this team can win.
Questions now for Jeff. If you have one, raise your hand. Mike's got one right here. I'll get you the mic. Mike.
Hey, Jeff. Mike Muller, MikeMuller.net. Moving the 48 and the 24 and the teams around there, have you lost anything, or is the communication changed or something? I know you got 2 and 2, but I get the feeling that obviously the 88's picked up a lot. Have you lost anything on that?
No, I'm very proud of the move that's been made, and I love working with Alan Gustafson. He's a great crew chief. They've got a very strong, team that I've been able to come in and be a part of and I think add to. We won 3 races last year. This year I feel like we've been in position to win at least that many again, and it just hasn't come together. You look at Casey Kane, and bringing Kenny Francis and him over. Those guys have won a couple races. I think that the shop and these two teams are very strong as they've ever been. But it just goes to show you just how difficult the sport can be, and how you got to put it all together. Where we're at in the points, and the fact that we haven't won yet is not indicative of the way we've performed this year, and that's been our story, and it's one that we've got to change, and we've got to turn around, and hopefully this is the weekend to do that.
Let's go over here to Bob, and then we'll come over here to David. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. We've seen the last few years that the guy who finishes second in the points seems to have a rough season the following season. You kind of had that, from 2007 to 2008. Is that just coincidence, or is there something about coming close and then having to come back the next year?
Yeah, I think it depends. I think if you finish second because you were gaining on the leader the entire run through the chase, and then finish second, I think that is a different way of how you handle it. But I think that if you are leading the points and you just get beat and outrun, then I think that that's going to take the wind out of you, and that you've put everything you possibly have into it and come up short. It takes something out of you. It takes something out of your team. You're like, man, what more do we have to do? I don't know if we have anything left to turn those results around. And I think that's kind of what happened to us in 07. I think that's what happened to Carl last year. I think it's what happened to Denny the year before. And I think that, finishing second can be good. If you're maybe finishing second for the first time in your career, or you just made a heck of a run and just came up a little bit short. But when it's yours to win and you feel like you give it up, that's hard to overcome.
Let's go David, and then we'll go up to Marty, and then Nate. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, David Newton, ESPN.com. I have 2 questions. The first, last week several drivers commented on the yaw in Jimmy's car, but like he had something nobody else had. Is there something they've found that maybe they're not giving to the rest of the teams? Are y'all sharing all that?
Yeah, we share everything, and we're doing everything we possibly can to go out there and be competitive. I think that's one of the things that Hendrick does so well is they go out there and push the limits constantly. and whether it's over the off season trying to get prepared, for Daytona in the beginning of the season, or if along the way you recognize what other teams are doing and you go, okay, we're getting beat by that. How do we make our stuff better? Or sometimes it just takes months, working on something. I mean, you got to understand NASCAR's put us in a box, and in that box, you have a lot less tools to work with, and so you've got to creatively get outside of that box, and that's what I think Hendrick is doing right now. I think creatively the guys are really smart, and they're coming up with some things that are making our cars stand out and do the things balance-wise that we're looking for. I mean, I don't think we're head and shoulders above anybody. I just think that we've got things that are working well for us. I mean, I didn't see anything that stood out to me over a lot of the other competitors there last week. Sometimes I think that some of those comments are made just because people are getting beat and they don't like it and want to try to bring attention to something that's probably not there.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, a few years ago, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was a lot of drivers, not a lot, a few were taking jabs at him, and Kyle Busch in particular, for being the most popular driver, not winning races, and all that kind of thing. Is his success now, has he finally gotten to the point now where that's ended? Have you noticed that, or did you notice it before that it was like that? And has he kind of, I guess, arrived finally?
I mean, it's hard to say, pinpoint exactly what it is, but there's definitely a difference. I think his confidence is up. I think he believes in his team and in Steve, and it took a while for them, not long, but they had to their personalities and confidence in one another was built. And I mean, it's a great team over there, and it's it's a great facility, and they really know how to step things up. But I think that it took a little while for those two to say, all right, I believe in you, you believe in me, let's go work on this, and these are some things we got to step up and do to be successful. And whatever they've done is obviously working, and then you back that up with performance, and there's no doubt, those guys are going out every weekend. Their cars are strong. They're running up front. It's not a fluke. They're the real deal this year, and Junior's attitude and his focus and how hard he's working at is all showing up.
Marty
Smith, ESPN. Similarly, I guess, at this point in the year for a lot of guys, the points lead is nice, but it's basically a formality with the chase reset looming. But last week, after Junior got it for the first time in 4 years or whatever, he was extremely happy about it and talked about how proud that made him. Why do you think it means so much to him that he's in that position now?
Well, I don't know what the scenario was of when he led the points the last time, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't because they were grinding it out through August and took the points lead after a top 5 Brickyard 400 finish. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure, and I think that's the difference. They're legitimately, they've been, just digging and grinding and pulling out great finishes. They got the win there at Michigan, and they could win more races. So I think it's probably more because of, one, he's under a lot of pressure and stress, he and Steve and Rick and the whole team, because it is Junior and people look at it differently. And so I think that, probably was feeling some of that pressure. And so I think that's a little bit of a relief. I think this year has probably been for him, great performance, running well. Fans are excited, saying great things. The media is saying great things because they're recognizing the effort. He's got a race win. He's leading the points. I mean, the pressure's going to go up when the chase starts. But right now, I think there's those small victories that you have throughout the season, and I think being the points leader after a great streak of runs and that one at the Brickyard. I think that's something to celebrate and be excited about.
We'll take 3 more questions. We're going Nate, Reed, and then with Steve.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Jeff, I know you're not participating in the test at Martinsville, but talking about that box that you were saying earlier.
I wish I was. That's the one place on the circuit I'd like to test.
They're going to be testing the 2013 cars, and apparently they're looking for ways to lighten the cars to get the load off the right front. And I know you've talked about that in the past, about how that's a challenge for Goodyear. With the tire, I just wondered.
It's not an issue at Martinsville, but yes.
What do you think about that test? What do you think could come out of it for the 2013 cars and for the Goodyear situation?
Yeah, that's a new one for me. I did not know about trying to take weight out. And I have to do a little investigating myself. Talk to some of the engineers to see what exactly they're doing there, because if I had to guess, they're not doing near enough. But anything is a gain. But yeah, it's really more. I mean, the teams, you got to understand, this should have been done a long, long time ago, and the teams decided to figure it out on their own and figure out how to shift that weight over to the left side to take some weight off the rights. That's just made the cars go faster. But it hasn't necessarily helped Goodyear. So I think that. It's always been known since the first COT that, Goodyear has really struggled trying to build a proper tire for this car, because it's a high CG and there's a lot of weight on the right side, not near enough on the left side. And so, it just really puts a lot of stress on the right side tire, especially the right front. And so, directionally, that's the right thing to be doing. And until I know a little bit more about exactly what they're doing, I don't really want to comment on the details of it.
Go Reed, and we'll finish with Steve. Go ahead, Reed, right behind you.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Earlier this week, A.J. Allmendinger lost the best ride he's ever had in the sport, and a lot of people are saying he's done in NASCAR. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like there's any way back for him? And once he completes Road to Recovery, would you feel comfortable being on the track with him again?
Oh yeah, absolutely. AJ's a friend of mine, and I've always been a fan of his ever since his open wheel runs in the kart series, or champ car, whatever they call it. And you hate to see it, because it was a great opportunity for him to be at Penske in that car, and it's disappointing to see. And I'm as anxious as anybody else to know all the details as to what happened, what went wrong. And he's a fighter. I don't see him just turning away. I see him doing what he can to come back.
Final question, Steve, right there. Thank you.
You talk about Watkins Glen. What are your chances there? And obviously different from Sonoma.
I'm optimistic. I'll be honest. We have not run very well at Watkins Glen in recent years, and it's been very disappointing to me and to the team, because it's not from lack of effort. We just not had the setup and the grip that we've needed at that track. I felt like we made big improvements at Sonoma, but like you said, Sonoma is not Watkins Glen, so that's why I say I'm optimistic. I think we've made improvements, but we won't really know until we get there. And I hope that the things that we've learned we can apply there and see the results. So I always love going to the road courses, and Watkins Glen's one of my favorites. But it's a fast road course, and you've got to have grip and comfort in that car through those S's and in the high-speed corners. It's not a place. Sonoma is more finesse. You can be off a little bit on your setup, and you can just make sure you don't overdrive the car, and you'll make good, decent lap times. Watkins Glen, you got to attack the racetrack in the braking zones, and the car's got to be there for you and stick. And if it's not, it makes for a long day.
Jeff Gordon, thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in, and also congratulations again on the Heisman Humanitarian Award, and good luck this weekend.
It's an honor. Thank you.